Messed up the music. Where is it?
This is becoming a weekly thing for you.
There we go.
Great
There we
start.
go.
We're already talking over each other.
Second place. That's all right. Who's listening? All right, fools, we made it. It's Tuesday. We are all here in one piece, and we are back recording another episode of the Fantasy Fools Football Podcast. Welcome in, fools. We are excited to have you. Not a big episode today, but really, I think the biggest thing we're going to talk about, that we all know is the rookie draft. I mean, that was so exciting.
Oh, so exciting. Honestly, this is going to be... I've been really looking forward to this episode for a while because, again, I've been actually looking at the first round guys, and I've been really hoping to honestly dive into some of these wide receivers that are coming up. And the fact that we now know landing spots for some of these high-end prospects, real exciting stuff.
The first 12 picks had 6 QBs.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
No.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that's just it's crazy how different some of the teams are going to look after this draft.
And you know what's even crazier? There were so many wide receivers chosen in the first 2 rounds. It absolutely blew my mind how many wide receivers were picked. Just like alongside QB, it was really insane. But wide receivers, man, there were so many in the first 2 rounds.
It was such a big class. It was such a big class.
So much offense.
A deep, talented class. I mean, I'm looking here. There's 16 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. 16. Yep. That's insane.
It's a lot.
So, but again, this is a very high end QB and wide receiver class, which is also, Tyler, why I ended up fleecing you in our fantasy league, and I basically made sure I got not my number 1 pick, but also the number 2 pick overall. So guess who I'm going in a dynasty league, 1 and 2.
Caleb Williams. You're gonna go Caleb Williams, the guy that you shit talked all
Caleb Williams
day
and
last
Malik
week.
Neighbors.
Last
I am
episode.
not.
Caleb Williams and Malik Neighbors.
That is you got one of them. That's true.
All right, so Mike, tell me then, who are you going to use the first 2 picks on? I mean, it doesn't matter. You've got them. It doesn't matter if I know.
I'll tell you right now. I'm using them on Neighbors and Harrison. Absolutely.
Wow.
You can't not do that.
I mean, they were picks number 4 and 6 in the draft, so I don't blame you. But more to come on that. We'll get there. We just want to talk first. So on today's podcast, we're going to talk about some miscellaneous news. Not much happening in the NFL since last week. And then we're going to go through some of our draft reactions. And for those reactions, we are going to talk about the top 100 picks that are fantasy relevant, which includes QBs, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. We're going to focus on that now. And then as we talk about each divisional team, we're going to talk and incorporate other rookie drafts into those analyses that we do. I don't really know. Is it analysis or analysis?
It's fine. It's analysis.
Analyze.
Analyst.
Can we just please go back to football?
The analysis.
All right. So vocabulary is not our strong suit. Good thing football isn't either. And with that being said, let's start off. We're going to kick it off with pick 100, which happened to be a wide receiver by the Washington Commanders. And that pick was Luke McCaffrey. And that name might sound familiar. And that's because his brother is currently, if arguably, one of the best running backs to ever play the game.
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. Absolutely. Unfortunately, that is going to be Luke McCaffrey's claim to fame. He is Christian's younger brother.
Yeah. And he's going to have to live with that.
No, he's going to be catching touchdowns from Jaden Daniels. And if I get Christian McCaffrey in fantasy football next year, I'm picking Luke McCaffrey in like the 14th round or whatever, just so I can be equals MC squared.
I'm not even kidding. I actually just did a mock draft by myself today, just kind of seeing where people fell. And I took Luke McCaffrey straight up in like the last round, just because I'm like, hey, he's got McCaffrey blood. And I'm like, you never know. They have an inner drive in him and an inner motor. Like you don't know where he's going to turn out. Still, and I got a 3rd round pick.
I got to say, this Commanders team, from an offensive perspective, they are looking
major
solid.
Improvement.
I mean, you've got Jaden Daniels at the helm, Austin Eckler, which we interested to see how he performs. But they always have Brian Robinson Jr., McLaurin, Dotson, McCaffrey. I mean, I'm not going to lie, worried about drafting these wide receivers, but at the same time, depending on how Jaden Daniels does, could be huge fantasy points.
I'm actually thinking because they drafted all these wide receivers, is there going to be any movement of players is Terry McLaurin on his way out. What about
That's true.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, are they going to want to try and make some room? Because I think Terry McLaurin has a hell of a contract going, so they may want to move that money.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Jaden Daniels is able to spread the ball. We know Sam Howell was, in a position where he threw to 15 different receivers for the season, which was really annoying for those Terry McLaurin and Johan Dotson draft owners, those managers, which was this guy. But interested to see how that offense is going to shape up. At pick 92, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafting a wide receiver as well, Jalen McMillan. Interested to see what Baker does there. Los Angeles Rams at 83 drafted a running back, Blake Corum. I don't think this is going to affect Kyren Williams' value all that much. It was a third-round pick, so he, maybe he's worth his salt, but I think he's going to at least take a year to prove himself if he is able to compete with Kyren. But we'll see how that shapes up.
See, I want to talk a little bit about Blake Corum, though, because Blake Corum actually is a touchdown machine. In the last 2 years at Michigan, he put up like 45 touchdowns. He puts up touchdowns immensely, and he's actually got more draft capital than Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams was like a 5th round pick, I believe, or maybe a 6th. And now you're talking Blake Corum taken in the 3rd round. That's a premier spot to pick a running back that you're not picking a running back in the 3rd round without actually having some long-term goals on that. So I'm worried about Kyren Williams with him.
No, I'm not worried about Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams he's only going into year 2. He's a beast. But
year 3.
Year 3. Yeah. But whatever. Still young, still early in his career. Are we looking at the hot pick to potentially have 2 top 10 running backs fantasy-wise? Remember when Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara did it?
Are you saying on the same team for the Rams?
Yeah.
Not a shot.
For the same team.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so because Sean McVay doesn't do that. Sean McVay clearly does love Kyren Williams. I don't disagree.
Not with that attitude.
I don't disagree. I'm not Sean McVay, so it doesn't matter what my attitude is. But
no,
Sean McVay Sean McVay, though, he does actually go through and he'll stay with one running back. That's what he likes to do. Oh wow, that was delayed.
We'll see, man. You use the tools that you have. And if you've got 2 great running backs, you use them both.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I think Williams is still a high value draft capital. But speaking of running backs, Green Bay Packers at pick 88 chose Marshawn Lloyd. I'm actually interested, from a fantasy perspective on this because they have Josh Jacobs. Never mind. I don't care about Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, maybe in the future, but 84 were the Pittsburgh Steelers who picked a wide receiver. Ooh, excuse me. Wide receiver Roman Wilson, Cincinnati Bengals at pick 80. Jermaine Burton, wide receiver. Not too scared for Jamar Chase there. New York Jets drafted.
I'm wondering about T. Higgins though. Is that a T. Higgins replacement?
I mean, they lost Tyler Boyd, so they did lose something, but
yes,
I don't think Jermaine Burton is going to. I mean, maybe in a dynasty, I might stow him in my taxi squad if you have that, but I'm not all worried about the Jamar Chase. Unless Higgins leaves, then I put more value in Burton.
True.
Yeah, I agree, Ty. Until Higgins leaves, I'm not putting more value in Jermaine Burton.
Right.
More mouths to feed. And, it's his rookie year. It's statistically, wide receivers have their best fantasy football season year 3.
And also, Jordan, on a similar front, I think I don't put a lot of trust in drafting a rookie wide receiver, even if he was second in the wide receiver 2 on the Bengals. I'm not for picking a wide receiver who's part of this, giant Jamar Chase core. He is their wide receiver. I don't put a lot of faith in drafting, especially a rookie, someone to take from that because I don't think anyone's going to take from that. He might be a distraction, but that's it.
He's number 3 on a team that has possibly 2 receivers in the top 20 in the league.
Right. So, it'll interesting to see how that pans out. But at pick 65, you got the New York Jets who drafted Malachi Corley, wide receiver from Alabama. Not really. I mean, I guess that's a good thing for the Jets.
Their wide receiver 2 right now is Allen Lazard. I'd say he looks like he can get some targets.
No, actually, it's Mike Williams.
I'm counting on week 3 when he's hurt.
Wow.
I mean,
hater.
you're not wrong.
You just love calling me a hater.
You're not wrong.
You love to hate. You drunk on that hater.
I'm just saying he's going to get hurt.
I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers will be able to prove that he's a good quarterback. Garrett Wilson's just too good. This is another one where I'm afraid if you draft a rookie high, use draft capital, that he's just going to end up upsetting you because everything just goes to Garrett Wilson. He's just too good. And now that they actually have a quarterback back, maybe they'll be able to do something.
Garrett Wilson's good,
I'm super excited for Garrett Wilson. You're right.
In round 3, pick number 1 at pick number 60. I'm sorry, I just went over that. Round 3, pick number 82. Arizona Cardinals drafted a tight end, Tip Ryman. Zero interest in that, especially with McBride just showing off what he can do last season. Pick number 66 was also the Cardinals. They drafted a running back, Trey Benson. I could consider looking at him from a running back perspective to draft him. Second running back drafted in this draft, if my stats are correct. Yes, they are.
Also, what excites me about this is I believe who's the current running back for the Cardinals? It's James Conner, right?
No, is it James? Yeah, it is James Conner. Yeah.
If you look at James Conner's career, he is on the older side for a running back, and he has been used like a freaking workhorse. Like at some point, he's not going to be a 3-down back. Is this that year? So
I don't even think he's a 3-down back right now.
I mean, James Conner had a great season last season, and shockingly, it was the first time in his career he actually put up over 1,000 yards. But he has always been a pretty productive runner whenever he's gotten the chance. Except for he usually is another guy who's always dealt with injuries in every single season. But last season he was a absolute workhorse, and honestly, he did very well for people who had him in fantasy, especially in down the stretch. But you're right, this guy could end up taking over. Benson could end up taking over some.
Yeah, I think it's just, is this the year that James Conner has to be part of truly a split RB field? Not an RB1-2 situation, but an RB-AB situation.
Yeah, I think for redraft leagues, maybe stow him in your bench. For those dynasty leagues, this is definitely a pick that I think you might want to consider if you're okay on running backs now, but looking like down the road 1-2 seasons from now,
you're talking about somebody who you want to get as a stash, and basically someone who you're like, hey, if you want a backup to just hold on and just in case type of situation, Trey Benson might be your guy. Because if James Conner goes down, Trey Benson's going to be it. There's no one else.
Right.
I agree. I mean, also, where are you taking him? Is your RB3? If he's available on RB4,
probably 4 or 5. Honestly, for sure. You're not going to take him in before probably the eighth round.
He might be a sneaky pick at 4. Yeah.
Pick number 53, you had the Commanders choosing a tight end, Ben Sinnott. I'm not really concerned about that either.
Yeah.
So, Mike, bring us into the next couple.
I've heard good things about Ben Sinnott, but I just don't think he's going to end up being anything too bad with Jaden Daniels and having all the other weapons. I just don't see Ben Sinnott on his rookie year doing anything. Maybe in dynasty formats, you'll hold on to him, but not in his first rookie year. But going into the next group of picks, we're going to go to round 2, pick 52 overall. We got Adonai Mitchell. He coming from Texas. He went to the Indianapolis Colts. I look at this pick. I think he could be a pretty good talent, and I do think he's going to be a good complement to Michael Pittman Jr. However, I do think this might be a problem for any owners of Josh Downs. That is my opinion.
I agree.
I really like this pick. I'm very excited. Anthony Richardson. If I miss out on maybe the top 5 quarterbacks, see a sleeper this year. as long as he stays healthy, he's got some amazing receivers and great running ability. So just the Colts offense in general, I'm really excited to see. This is also probably one of my favorite picks of the draft because the Colts wanted a top 3 receiver, top 5 receiver in the draft. They didn't have the opportunity to move up and get him. So round 2, they see Adonai Mitchell fell. So they moved up and got their guys. So that's exciting. I'm excited for the Colts
agree.
offense.
I think the Colts offense is going to look really good. I agree with everything you just said. I mean,
just like as a football
you're
fan,
totally right.
You know?
I just think as far as going back to fantasy, like Adonai Mitchell, he was a good talent, and I think them picking him up, it's really going to hurt Josh Downs and Alec Pierce owners. But outside of that, I think Michael Pittman Jr. is a lock still. Jonathan Taylor is going to be everything, and Anthony Richardson, as long as he can stay healthy, he's going to be a dominant QB fantasy wise. I
actually think that this lowers Michael Pittman's value just a little bit because now you're spreading the ball 3 ways instead of 2. Last season it was 2 with Pierce just kind of, you don't even consider him. He was just that third guy. I think depending on how Adonai Mitchell shapes out, I think this actually does lower Michael Pittman's value.
I don't disagree. I don't think Michael Pittman's value is going to be lost because of the drafting of Adonai Mitchell. I think his value is going to be lost because you're going to have Anthony Richardson come back instead of it being Gardner Minshew tossing the ball, because Gardner Minshew is a very heavy thrower and Anthony Richardson is a very big runner. So I think the volume of passes is going to be down in general for the Indianapolis Colts offense.
What's the tight end situation in Indianapolis?
Kylan Grayson.
Okay, so not, top 5. Not enough. He's not taking targets from Pittman.
Agreed. No. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers. They took the number 1 running back in the class, Jonathan Brooks, out of Texas. This kid is pretty talented when he is also healthy. Unfortunately, he is coming off of, I believe, an ACL tear. So he's going to end up having to go through basically like the training camp coming off of injury. So he's going to probably be getting a slow start. So as far as the Carolina Panthers are concerned, they're probably going to be leaning on Miles Sanders, and probably Jonathan Brooks isn't going to be seen as much of a value until later on in the season, if at all. He's more of a dynasty pick, I'd say. Going on next,
agreed.
New England Patriots at 37 overall. They selected Jalen Polk. I actually really like this kid. Now, he doesn't have the best career in college, but coming out of Washington, he was the number 2 after Rome Odunze. But I feel like when I was watching a lot of Rome Odunze picks, a lot of Rome Odunze highlights, I was noticing Polk out there a lot. He had some separation. So I'm actually excited for this pick with the Patriots and growing up with Drake May. Los Angeles Chargers, they selected Ladd McConkey. He was actually a pretty good wide receiver out of Georgia.
That's a fun name.
McConkey.
That's a really fun name. Just the whole thing. Who's that skipping by? It's Ladd McConkey.
Oh my god, that sounds exactly like somebody who would be named in what's the Holy Grail movie? Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Monty Python.
Yeah, that sounds like a Monty Python name.
We are the lads who say McConkey.
Lad. Come, Ladd McConkey.
Okay, here we go. Here is an exciting part of the draft.
McConkey.
Buffalo Bills with pick number 33. That's pick 1 out of round 2, selecting Keon Coleman. Do you guys remember how the Buffalo Bills got that pick? They traded down. They traded down with Carolina, which I thought was absolutely wild, and you'll see where that goes in the future, right? But right before him, there's been a ton of wide receivers in this 1-2 turn.
Wait. No, hold on. They traded down with Carolina after already trading
that's where
down.
we're going. But Keon Coleman, he was a guy who actually had a lot of hype. He was originally going to be like a top 15 pick, and I don't know. He ended up having a bad test result or something because he ended up slipping all the way to the 2nd round. Maybe that's a steal for the Buffalo Bills, but the Florida State product did not hold his value there.
We'll see.
He scored poorly on his SATs
or something.
What was that, Jordan?
Didn't he have like attitude issues or like was possibly going to be an off-field issue?
I believe he actually had like a bad 40 time or something. That's what I thought it was, but I also don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to double check it.
Oh yeah. He's not the fastest receiver, but they said he's a strong receiver.
I think he's one of those guys who's high contested catch rate or something like that. But he scored poorly on some metric. I honestly don't remember. I got to double check it though.
But they brought him in really to replace number 13, he who we shall not be named. Yeah. So just be happy you don't have to deal with him anymore. Let's just hope Keon Coleman doesn't turn into that nameless.
You're missing Stefan. He's here to replace Stefan.
And Stefan. Both.
Okay. We'll see how that's going to work out. Hey, if he demands as many targets as Stefan did, then I can't imagine he doesn't get at least like some fantasy value out of that.
Do you think that Stefan Diggs has already annoyed CJ Stroud about how he needs to increase the number of his targets? More targets.
You better get me targets.
The GM actually has it somewhere in his contract that he's not going to give CJ Stroud his number. So, all right, moving on. So 49ers pick, Ricky Pearsall. Heard a lot of good things about this pick. What do you guys think of Ricky Pearsall?
I think this just sorry.
I was just going to say, I think this is an interesting pick for the 49ers. That means that they probably are going to lose one of their wide receivers. They didn't lose anyone.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, they didn't lose anyone yet, but this is going to be that for me, that saying, hey, this year, next year, one of you wide receivers are going to get the boot or traded, obviously. That's the better outcome because I doubt anyone's getting the boot. But
I think what's going to happen is I think Ayuk wasn't traded before the draft. I think at this point, it's not going to happen. Maybe it still happens, but I think at this point, Ayuk has said, you know what? Nah, I'm here. All good. Now, he does want more money, but I think Deebo Samuel's in the last year of his contract. So I do think that the writing is on the wall that I think both of them will be there this year. They've been convinced to go one more year together to try and get a Super Bowl. I think that after that, season 2025, either Deebo or Ayuk will not be there.
I would agree with that. I think honestly, I actually believe they're probably going to trade one more year altogether this year. But either way, I do believe Ricky Pearsall was more or less
Would you like a gentleman's bet?
Let's do it. What are we betting?
I don't know, but virtual handshake.
Huzzah!
And Tyler, huzzah!
All right, moving on.
I guess.
So,
please,
Ayuk and Deebo are staying in San Francisco for 24.
We will see. All right, but while the Bills traded back, they traded back with Carolina, so Carolina finally got their first round pick back. Because I mean, why would you want number 1 when you can get number 32, right? So they got Xavier Legette out of that pick, and again, another talented wide receiver out of South Carolina. So we'll see how he can do. Hopefully, he can revitalize Bryce Young's short career so far, but he needs somebody to throw to. So here's the interesting one. Kansas City getting the pick from the Buffalo Bills, draft Xavier Worthy. Little guy can run. He has some gas. He's like a 4.22
Tyreek
Hill 2.0. This guy moves like the wind. So honestly, I'm super excited to see him.
Rashi who? You ain't Worthy.
No, Xavier Worthy. The reason Rashi was going so fast is because Worthy was actually chasing the car. That's what was happening. So
do you think this lowers Hollywood Brown's value on the Chiefs?
Yes,
absolutely.
You think Hollywood is now number 2?
Absolutely.
Yes. First round talent.
Okay. No offense to Hollywood Brown. He's a perfectly good player, but his production
has gone down since leaving Baltimore. Honestly, he really didn't have any great production with the Cardinals, and now he's great. It's awesome that he's going to be with Pat Mahomes, but he's going to be the second read in that. He's going to be the third read in that offense. Honestly, it's going to be Xavier Worthy. Even before him, it's going to be Travis Kelce. So
yeah, you're right.
Depending on if Rashee Rice plays this season.
I think I doubt it. Goodell hasn't made an announcement yet.
If then for sure he's number 4.
That's fair.
In my opinion.
All right, so to finish off in the 20s, at the pick 23, Jacksonville Jaguars, they also selected a wide receiver. Had to bring back somebody to throw the ball to. Now that oh god, who left Jacksonville? You ended up going to Ridley. Calvin Ridley. Yeah, once Calvin Ridley left, they had to bring somebody in. So they drafted Brian Thomas Jr., which I think is a great pick. Actually, he was LSU number 2 behind Malik Neighbors. So he was showing some major promise, but again, he had another big 1-year stint, and we'll see if he can carry it through in the NFL.
All right, Brian Thomas Jr. or Christian Kirk? Who would you put?
I think we've seen
Christian.
I would go Brian Thomas Jr.
Who do I think should be number 1, or who do I think that Doug Peterson will choose as number 1?
Who are you drafting? Which or which?
Oh,
because I think I might go Brian Thomas.
Christian Kirk.
Okay.
And I'm not a Christian Kirk fan, but I don't know, actually. That's a really tough one, because Brian Thomas, I think, is someone who potentially is going to just be way better than people realize, because everyone was enamored by Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
Who's elite, like, already. He's awesome. And so did Brian Thomas just not really...
Did he just kind of get the one cornerback when everybody else was looking at Neighbors? I see what you're saying. I think Brian Thomas honestly did benefit from that a little bit, but I still think he's going to end up benefiting from that in his first year with Jacksonville, when Christian Kirk is going to be the main guy.
Could go either way, is what I mean. Maybe
right.
He's better than people realize because everyone was focused on Neighbors, or maybe he's worse than people realize because everyone was focused on Neighbors.
Anyway,
I don't know. He's tough. I don't know what we're gonna get with him.
I would go him over Kirk, but that's my question is, who are you drafting? I would go Brian Thomas. I'm doing the same.
Jr. I'm sticking with Brian Thomas Jr. as well.
We've never seen him be a number 1 in an offense, so I don't know.
Brian Thomas, or who are you talking about? I mean,
yeah, Brian Thomas.
We haven't seen him in the NFL at all yet. So I'd rather have that chance that he can go up because he's gonna be the guy, rather than know that Christian Kirk has been pretty much a wide receiver 2 at best player, and that's pretty much his max. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Brian Thomas is ceiling.
So that's kind of what I would be going for in fantasy. All right, so finish off my list here, Vegas Raiders at number 13. I could not believe they ended up getting him. Brock Bowers fell all the way to 13. Wow.
Why did they pick him?
I have no idea why they picked him, other than the fact that he was probably just the best player on the board, and he should not have fallen that far.
Yeah, because they drafted Michael Mayer last year. He was he was a pick.
He was an early tight end. I don't remember exactly where he was.
Early tight end. Yeah, he was right after Sam Laporta.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
he was.
I don't know. There's been some pretty good two tight end teams.
Do you look at Brock Bowers completely destroying Michael Mayer's value? Yes.
Yes.
So you don't think Michael Mayer could still be the guy who's going to be going in and he's the favorite, but Brock Bowers, this is like a grooming year, something like that? Or you don't think they're going to run 2 tight end sets?
I think they might, but I think if anything, this pick made their decision. They spent this much draft capital on a tight end. They're going to use him, and they spent a lot of draft capital last year on a tight end. This
is the 13th.
I think it spreads the ball. It spreads the ball, or it just shows this is the 13th pick. This isn't a second round like Michael Mayer. This is a first round pick. I think it's going to go to him, probably first.
The only other thing that I can think of for the Raiders doing this is they simply think that Brock Bowers' receiving ability is more valuable than any of the receivers.
That's true too.
From what I've read,
that's what I mean. Really he was literally the best player on the board, and they couldn't believe he fell. I didn't think he was going to fall this far. I thought he was going to get taken. I thought he was going to get taken by the Jets or by Chicago at 9.
Yeah,
I guess they do have them.
And I mean, it's. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of damage you could do with 2 solid tight ends. Tom Brady had who was
Alex
it?
Hernandez.
Gronkowski and Alex Hernandez had. Was it Alex Hernandez?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, Tom Brady has had very successful seasons running a 2 tight end offense. So perhaps, and they're not the only one. So maybe that's just the route that they're going and didn't see the same value in the receivers left.
I don't know. We'll see.
So, but yeah, in terms of fantasy, I'm probably not picking either tight end.
I would agree with that. I think that you ought to stay clear, even though it sucks because it's like the talent is so there. But like it's kind of like the same thing. Saying like, oh yeah, let me just give Kyle Pitts another shot. No, we've all learned this.
Dude, I was literally thinking the same thing. Let's give Kyle Pitts another shot. No, I'm not going against the logic. I don't care that Kirk Cousins is there.
All right, let's see.
Anyway,
take us home.
Moving
Jordan.
on to the top 12. Number 12, Denver Broncos taking Bo Nix. All right, 6th quarterback off the board. That Sean Payton's finally got his guy. Of course, everyone's going to be like, oh, he's got the same build as Drew Brees. That's why you picked all that stuff. But the Broncos finally, it's not Zach Wilson. And I think
that's what matters.
All of Denver's happy about that. Then at number 10, you got J.J. McCarthy. This is the pick that personally I'm most interested to see throughout the 2024 season. Just because I really like where the Vikings offense is at with Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. All 3 players have great fantasy value. How does J.J. McCarthy affect that?
I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones is there too, right? Aaron Jones, they're running back, right? Yeah, so like he's got nothing but pass catching weapons. Like he's going to be set.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about like he might actually have a who do you think is a better setup right off the bat as a rookie quarterback? Caleb Williams with his core of weapons or JJ McCarthy?
I was going to ask the same thing. This is really tough.
Close.
I would go Jaden Daniels.
Sure.
No.
And I would you say serious? That I am also the next quarterback of the top pick of next year.
You serious?
I think
out of all those 3 teams, you think Jaden Daniels has the best offense?
I do.
Supporting cast.
I honestly I do. They've
what's
got
in the water around Virginia.
This is not even close for me. They're number 3. Not even close.
I think the Commanders are stacked now. Honestly,
wait.
Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, both great pass catching backs.
Did you watch Austin Eckler?
You got Terry McLaurin, Johan Dotson.
Austin Eckler, if he stays healthy and young,
right? But he could be whatever. That's just my pick. I gave you my opinion, and he's got Luke McCaffrey. He's got a McCaffrey.
Okay, well, personally, if I, man, that's tough. I really want to pick the Vikings, but I think I gotta give it to the Bears.
The Bears.
DeAndre's just a little younger than than Aaron Jones. They have actually fuck that. I'm going with the Vikings. Their tight end's better.
I just don't think Caleb Williams is going to do anything. I think he's going to fail on his face and burn and crash and follow in the Trubisky curse.
We'll get there. Anyway, so I would pick J.J. McCarthy. I think the Vikings are the most exciting team to be drafted as the quarterback right now of any of the 32 teams. But number 9, you got Rome Odunze, who fell, and a lot of people predicted it just because of needs by the other top 18 picks. But Rome Odunze joined the Bears. Really exciting. He's going to be their 3rd top tier wide receiver.
That's
which
why
is nuts.
Actually I think I have, even though I want to say I believe in JJ McCarthy with the Vikings, I actually think Caleb Williams does have a better receiving core because he has 3 top flight wide receivers. Now he's also throwing the ball to Swift. DeAndre Swift is also a really good running back as far as catching the ball too. So he's got 4 pass catchers. Yeah. I think I got to give it to the Bears. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, Bears, Vikings, Commanders. Tyler.
Well, all right.
Just so you know. Then Atlanta Falcons. the most mysterious pick of the draft.
Yeah.
Took Michael Penix, who they said we had him ranked as our number 2 quarterback in this class. We want to be ready for the future, which this makes no freaking sense because you signed Kirk Cousins to 4 years on $180 million, and you have this rookie on a 4-year, 5th-year option. What, you're going to evaluate him for 4 years and then sign him for the 5th? Like, it makes no sense.
He's also an older prospect. He's like 24 years old already. You're not going to be... Yeah, he's going to be 28 by the time by
the end of his rookie contract. Which, like, are you trying to win now or not with Kirk Cousins? But that's no fantasy value in Michael Penix Jr. this year. And no disrespect to his ability. It's just he's not going to play. Then you have New York Giants take Malik Neighbors out of LSU. For the first time since 2018, the New York Giants have a top-tier wide receiver.
And they still have Daniel Jones throwing to him. So have fun.
Upset with this pick. I am.
I love this
Giants
pick.
Fan. As a Giants fan, you love this pick. And guess what? If I was a Giants fan, I would love this pick too. Malik Neighbors is I still think now it's pretty open, but I still think Malik Neighbors actually he might be the best wide receiver in this class. I think Harrison is great, but I think Malik Neighbors actually is a little bit better. If I had to prefer the two, I would prefer Neighbors just based on the film that I saw. I think he's shiftier. I think he's faster.
I'll say, is Neighbors better? And Harrison got picked because of the name?
I think it's possible. I think Harrison has been a great receiver for now a couple of years, and he almost won the best wide receiver last season, and he did win it this season. So also, I mean, clearly he's there, but
dynasty wise, I know you guys are more the dynasty guys, dynasty fools, I should say. But dynasty wise, Malik Neighbors is only 20 years old. He's not old enough to buy alcohol.
I think he's getting some anyway. It's fine.
10 potential years of elite wide receiver status out of this guy. If you're in dynasty, target Malik
you're
Neighbors.
Talking about probably a year difference. I'm sure Harrison's only 21.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's only 21, so it's fine.
But you're drafting him thinking that the Giants are finally going to have a quarterback, which they're not.
Dude, for 1 year, okay? And then they're going to cut him and draft him.
Then they're going to have a rookie quarterback. That's why this is so bad.
Who knows? Who knows what the
quarterbacks next year are? Brian Dable. Let's go. We're good. We're going to be good. We're going to be okay. And Daniel Jones is just going to plop it right over to Malik Neighbors on a slant. He's going to bring it to the house. And Daniel Jones is somehow going to have over 20 touchdowns this year. 19 are going to go to Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors is going to end up being? He's going to be the Garrett Wilson of last season. He's going to be that superstar talent you see out there making ridiculous catches. Yeah. But you don't see him anywhere else because half the time the ball's thrown over his head or underthrown and it's intercepted. That's what's going to end up happening.
Yep. And then the Giants are going to be the team that, like the Jets, who get the stud quarterback who's not happy with the team he's on now. So they go get that vet and bring him in. And then
they draft the next Michael Penix Jr.
Moving on. Joe Shane would never do that. But moving on. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to the Cardinals. It's great that Kyler Murray is finally going to have a real top receiving target. Now, with the Andre Hopkins gone, his wide receiver talent hasn't been great, and he's been unhealthy. So we'll see what the Cardinals can do. Personally, I'm not picking Kyler Murray in terms of fantasy. He's definitely not at the top of my board.
I think he's actually an exceptional fantasy asset to get if you can, but especially now that you add a receiver like Harrison. I think now that
depends where you get him, but he's not.
Okay, he's
not top 5 on my board.
Do you see him above Caleb Williams? You don't see Kyler above Caleb Williams?
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. No.
Fantasy value? With rushing?
No.
With the rushing upside of Kyler Williams?
I would take...
with Kyler Murray, you don't see him above Caleb Williams?
I don't trust Kyler, I think, as much as you. Although I don't like Caleb, and I don't think he's going to do well.
Caleb's got a better supporting cast.
Yeah.
More people to throw touchdowns to. He's got possibly a better running back situation.
I bet Kyler Murray finishes.
Kyler Murray's coming off injury
as a top 10 quarterback.
I would probably believe that.
I wouldn't take that.
You wouldn't take that?
That's fine.
So you believe? Okay, so you believe that Caleb Williams is going to be a fringe top 10?
Yeah.
No.
I'm trying to gauge where you think Kyler Murray's going to fall.
I think Kyler's going to do better
around 10.
Caleb.
You think he's going to fall around 10? I bet. Okay, where do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to fall?
Between 9 and 12.
I'm very curious about your QB list. Where do you think Justin Herbert falls?
I don't know. 5.
That's what I
without the
I was
weapons?
thinking.
Okay, we will have to come back to this in a later episode.
Yeah.
5. Anyway, number 3, New England Patriots take Drake May, who we'll see if he's actually going to be the starter. I haven't read to see what they've announced, but I know they brought in Jacoby Brissett, who's been with the organization before, who is a reliable quarterback. He did really good, or played very well when Deshaun Watson was out, and he needed to start for the Browns. Then number 2, Washington Commanders picked Jaden Daniels, who personally I think he's my favorite quarterback out of this draft. I really like Jaden Daniels. One thing I read about him too, I don't think he went to the combine, I believe it was, but he said part of his reasoning was because he's like, I have teammates that weren't invited, and I think they deserve a shot to be seen by scouts. And you guys are already coming to the pro day. I'll see you there.
Okay.
And so
you with your
he wanted to help his teammates out. That's the kind of guy I want leading my locker room. It's like, he's not thinking about himself necessarily in that moment. He's like, you want to see me? You come to my pro day rather than me come to you at the combine, and you can see my teammates and I, and we've worked really hard this season. They deserve a shot too.
So that being said, do you still think that the Commanders are at your bottom of your list between the Bears and the Vikings?
Yes.
Darn it. Thought I had you.
No.
All right. Talk about number 1. Finish it up. All right. Well, pick number 1 overall is Chicago Bears choosing Caleb Williams, quarterback. Pick they received from Carolina out of USC. I think he's the most controversial quarterback right now in this draft. I don't know what you're going to get from him. I don't expect much. Mike, you don't like him either. Jordan seems to love him.
No, I don't seem to love him. I just think let's let him take a fucking snap before we judge him hard. Now, my favorite thing about Caleb Williams, though, I have to say, is that he kind of sounds like he talks like Michael Jackson, just one octave lower. If you listen to his press conferences, he's kind of like, yeah, I'm really excited to go play for Chicago. And it kind of reminds me of the way Michael Jackson talked. And have you seen the pictures of him doing this? Where he's like, Bear.
No.
He's been he goes to public events and he's like, Bears. Right. And he puts up a bear claw. I can't wait to hear Caleb Williams in like a Michael Jackson voice just be like, go Bears.
Well, you didn't hear it on the
Bears.
press conference already? He already went, the Bears.
The Bears.
I just...
Dude, he's got a Michael Jackson vibe. Just saying.
I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan just because I think his talent is there. I mean, I haven't watched enough of him because I just think that I just knew he was going to go number 1. But like, I just think his mentality and the personality is not going to go well. And I don't know if he has that killer instinct that you need. I don't know if he's going to end up being a good teammate. I don't know if he's going to end up being good for being just like on a team when it comes down to negotiations. I truly believe in 5 years when it comes down to contract negotiations, he's going to basically be sitting there demanding max contracts. And I don't know if he's going to actually be able to handle it. I don't know if he's going to be able to live up to his life.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Which top quarterback, elite quarterback in the league in the past 5 years did not demand that I want to be the highest paid quarterback in the league? First it was First it was Lamar. Then it was Hurts. Then it was Herbert. Then it was Burrow. And then Mahomes had to renegotiate his contract.
When did Mahomes renegotiate his contract?
They all want to be the highest. I'm pretty
Mahomes
sure he
was the first one who led it
contract.
all. Mahomes led the charge with everything.
Well, yeah, he got his ridiculous 10-year contract. But you see, my point is every time somebody's like of that's in that age range, that's in the elite category, they try to break the record and they want to sign for the highest.
See,
actually, it started with Deshaun. $250 million guaranteed.
Yeah, Deshaun blew it up. I will say, yeah, Deshaun blew it up. But like Mahomes ended up signing that like $500,000 10-year deal, right? Everyone else has been signing a 4-year deal, but that doesn't even matter. That's not the point. Like Mahomes, I would still view his as like a deal. Like he actually is worth it.
Yeah,
but he also signed it long enough to where it's not going to affect them in 3 more seasons. I mean, hell, they already won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Like it already paid itself off. So I don't know. I don't view that deal as being as crazy, but like, you're right. Everyone is kind of going above and beyond. I just don't like how I don't think he's going to be the same. I just don't like he was not even drafted. He didn't even basically leave. He didn't declare for the draft yet before he said, I demand ownership of whoever basically takes me.
You bring this up like for the 5th week in a row. You brought that up like
actually no, week. Tyler brought it up last time. I ended up just basically talking about it.
I just think you were thinking it when you brought it up. I could see it in your eye.
I think the Bears are going to regret giving up Justin Fields. That's what I think. That's my hot take. Well, that's my hot take. But anyway, have a great night. That's it for